the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays. It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. A beautiful Tuesday morning right here on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, the 13th day in the month of June 2023. And I'm sure it's not too still late to wish you a happy Democracy Day in arrears. Of course, we are hoping for the better moving forward, not hoping to move backward or retrospecting, but moving forward. Welcome to Freshlight, a fresh episode on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. This is where we peruse the pages of our different newspapers and of course keep you updated and keep you abreast of happenings while you are at work, or you're preparing, or you are at home. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye, and I would apologize for not bringing Freshlight to you yesterday, June 12, 2023. We have just to make everything happen to bring you the best of the best every point in time. So welcome to Freshlight once again. This morning I have a couple of different newspapers quickly so we can go through the front pages and of course give you some of the details of the headlines we have this morning. I have the Punch newspaper, The Nation, the Nigerian Tribune, and the Vanguard newspaper. All right, kickstarting Freshlight this morning. Let's kickstart with the Nigerian Tribune newspaper to see the front page and of course get to read out some of the headlines on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. From the front page, we have Tinubu signs student loan bill into law. Page 5 captures the details of that very story. Away from that, we also have June 12, a governor's app on national unity. Also, you get the details of that on page 25 and 26 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Away from that, from the front page, we also have this very headline: more controversies as NDIC chairman appointed by Buhari defense position alleges corruption. Page 6 captured the details of that story. Also from the front page, we have 21 killed in Plateau community. Page 27 captured a very rather sad one. Away from that, Ibadan-based teacher lured to Lagos and murdered. Also the very metro story, sad one, on page 27 in the Nigerian Tribune. From the front page, we also have federal government alert Nigerians on outbreak of anthrax in neighboring countries and warns against eating momo bushmeat. To whom it may concern, you get interested in that very story and you get the details of that on page 12 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. From the front page, you also get to see this headline on the 10th National Assembly inauguration. Akpabio Yari in final duel for Senate presidency. Page 25 and page 26 also captured the story of the very headline. And quickly picking the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, and let's see a couple of the stories we have in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. All right. Okay, we start with the 10th National Assembly inauguration. And of course, lawmakers elect arrive National Assembly complex amidst tight security with a rider, governors, and others to witness presiding officers' election. In the bid to avoid another coup, 10th National Assemblies and members-elect arrived at the National Assembly complex on Tuesday, 6:30 a.m. today amidst tight security. Eyewitnesses account reviewed that the lawmakers were convened in 4 coaster buses through the Villa Gate, while 2 others who were conveyed through SGF Gate were also escorted by security guards. And you get to see the rest of that details later in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper with the headline 10th National Assembly inauguration. Lawmakers elect arrive National Assembly complex amidst tight security. Away from that, you also get to see this very story on the student loan bill that was approved to law by President Bola Tinubu. And reaction to that, how will students pay back when unemployment rate is 33.3%? Nigerians react to Tinubu's student loan. Some Nigerians have taken to social media to share mixed feelings about the student loans bill signed into law by President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In an effort to fulfill one of his campaign promises, President Tinubu on Monday signed into law the bill, which will make available credit facilities to all students who have secured admission into federal and state universities, colleges of education, polytechnics, or any vocational training schools. And the bill titled "A Bill for an Act to Provide for Easy Access to Higher Education for Nigerians through an interest-free loan from the Nigerian Education Bank established in this act to provide education for Nigerians and other purposes connected thereto," and of course was sponsored by the Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives, Femi Bajabiamila. And the signing of the bill into law has, however, generated mixed feelings from social media users. While some support the bill, describing it as a right step in the right direction, others condemned it, saying that the government should have channeled the energy into providing employment opportunities for increasing numbers of unemployed youth. The rest of that, also the reaction you get in the Nigerian Tribune. How will students pay back when unemployment rate is 33.3%? Nigerians react to Tinubu's student loan. Away from that, we also have on the student loan, applicants convicted for convicted of drug and fraud not qualified for student loan, says Tinubu's aide. Following the signing into law student loan bill by the Bola Tinubu-led administration, an aide to the president, Dele Alake, has said anyone convicted of any drug-related offense or fraud would not be allowed to access the loan. Recall that during his campaign, President Tinubu expressed his commitment to advancing education and nurturing the potential of a youth. Speaking at the British Royal Institute in London, he emphasized the importance of young people as the nation's most valuable asset. Alake was quoted to have made the submission on Monday in company of other close aides of the president, including Tude Rahman Abdulaziz, as well as the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, David Adejo. The rest of that from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper was still in captivity. Chibok girls' parents begged Tinubu to facilitate release of remaining 92 of the Punch newspaper. And also, from the Punch newspaper, National Assembly, APC anointed candidate, rebels to slug it out. You get the details of that with double riders on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, anti-graft groups want NDIC probed. You also get the details of that on page 32 in the Punch newspaper. ASU and ASUP express doubt over student loan. Page 20 captures the story. Family demands presidential entitlement for Abiola. Page 20 as the very story. PDP Buhari's years of locals to wrecked oil sector, says Kokori. And page 7 graces that very story. Customs sees over 100 smuggled SUVs. You also get the details of that on page 29 in the Punch newspaper. Road cops extort 153,000 from undergraduates. Commissioner of Police removes DPO. Page 4 and 5 captures that very story. And also, Tinubu and governors urge Nigerians to defend democracy. You get the details of that also on page 41 in the Punch newspaper. Away from the front page, let's see a couple of the stories from the Punch newspaper. And we also have this very story from the business page. NNPCL issues directive to marketers on refund and new price. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has issued a fresh circular to oil marketers on how much they will pay to get petroleum products. And this came about 2 weeks after the federal government announced the removal of fuel subsidy. NNPCL retailed in a circular released on Sunday and obtained by the Punch directed marketers to consider merging their old orders, which carried the old fuel price, in order to buy a truck of 45 million liters of petrol. And the Punch gathered that marketers had before the deregulation ordered one truck of petrol for about 7.7 million naira. NNPCL issues directive to marketers on refund and new price. The Punch newspaper has the rest of that very story. All right, also a reaction to the student loan bill that was signed. ASU and ASUP expressed doubts over student loan. President Bola Tinubu on Monday in Abuja signed the student loan bill into law. The signing of the bill was in fulfillment of one of his campaign promises to liberalize funding of education. A member of the presidential strategic team, Dele Alake, told State House correspondent on Monday evening. The Student Loan Act becomes Tinubu's second piece of legislation signed since he assumed office 2 weeks ago, and the bill will enable indigent students to access loans at interest-free rate. And the Punch reported that a piece of legislation sponsored by the Speaker of the Ninth House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, passed the third reading at the House on May 25, 2023. ASU and ASUP expressed doubts over student loan. The Punch newspaper punches that out this morning. Away from the Punch newspaper, let's see other newspaper this morning that we've brought to the studio. We have the Nation newspaper, and let's see the front page of the Nation newspaper. Consensus: Senate President, House Speaker likely today, with riders Lawan Kalu, Izunazo endorse Apabio. Abbas support base swells. You get the rest of that in the Nation newspaper. Away from that, you have also from the front page, NDIC Act as 35 doctored clauses, chairman claims. You get the details of that on page 7 in the Nation newspaper. New law gives indigent students access to loans. Page 7 captures that with a rider, parents, ill president. Also on Democracy Day from the front page, you see President reviews guard at Villa, MKO's running mate, activist, state government, Mark Day in FCT and others. You also get the details of that in the Nation newspaper. FAC asked NNPCL to refund 2.1 trillion naira deducted for subsidy. You also get the details of that in the Nation newspaper. Avoid eating pomo, suya. Others, the federal government cautions Nigerians to whom it may concern. You also get the details of that on page 44 in the Nation newspaper. And quickly going through the Nation newspaper, let's see a couple of the stories. We'll start with the business story from the Nation. FAC asked NNPCL to refund 2.1 trillion naira deducted for subsidy. The Federation Account Allocation Committee is on a warpath with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and PCL over petrol subsidy deductions. The FAC accused the company of denying the government of huge funds from January to March, and the FAC is a body that distributes revenues generated into the Federation account to the tiers of government and other agencies that benefits from the fund. And on May 16, the FAC asked NNPCL to refund over 2.1 trillion naira to the Federation account. The rest of that in the Nation newspaper. FAC asked NNPCL to refund 2.1 trillion naira deducted for subsidy. And away from that, we have this warning from the federal government. Federal government warns against consumption of pomo and smoked meat and others. Federal government has said Nigerians should stop consuming hides named pomo, smoked meat, and bush meat as they pose serious risk to human health. The Permanent Secretary in Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Ernest Omakihe, spoke in a statement yesterday while alerting to Nigerians to the outbreak of anthrax in some neighboring countries in West African sub-regions, specifically northern Ghana bordering Burkina Faso and Togo. And the nation led to the zoonotic disease, which has claimed some lives in the bacterial that affect animal and humans. According to Makihe, anthrax spores are naturally found in the soil and commonly affect domestic and wild animals. From the Nation newspaper, the warning from federal government. Federal government warns against consumption of pomo and smoked meat and others. Away from that, the Nation newspaper also captured this very story. Focus on rural development, rural agricultural revolution, rather, from the Nation. A stakeholder in the agricultural sector, Mr. Retsin, said Deke has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to give priority to rural agricultural revolution. Tadeke, who is managing partner of Nigeria's Farmers Group and Cooperative Society, Farmer State, spoke in Kefi, Nasarawa State during a tour with journalists and livestock productivity and resilience support project, a World Bank assisted project. He said, with rural agricultural revolution, Nigeria will not import food, and according to him, Nigeria's agriculture needs more value addition for more foreign exchange, job and wealth creation, especially at a rural farm estate. Focus on rural agricultural revolution. The Nation newspaper captures that story. And quickly coming back to the Gateway State, we have this very story from the Nation. Present yourself for trial. Activists tell Adebutu. Ogun Integrity Vanguard, OIV, has urged People's Democratic Party candidate in March 18 governorship election in Ogun State, Oladipupo Adebutu, to present himself for trial instead of writing frivolous petitions to the police over his vote buying scandal. According to OIV, it is disturbing that after the federal government charged them to court over vote buying, Adebutu and some PDP members are writing petitions to Inspector General of Police, IGP, Usman Baba, asking him to investigate Governor Dapo Abiodun and All Progressives Congress APC for vote buying. And the group spoke in a statement by Secretary Duro Thomas in Abeokuta yesterday. You get the rest of that in the Nation newspaper. Present yourself for trial. Activists tell Adebutu. The Nation newspaper captures that. And quickly going through the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard rather, before we round it off this morning on Freshlight. From the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, you get to see headlines like the inauguration power show as 10th National Assembly gets underway today. You get that story with multiple riders on page 5 in the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, on subsidy, we have this very headline: Nigerians groaning, NBA tells Tinubu. Page 8 captures that story. Uneasy calm in police over successor to IGP Baba. Page 8 also captured that story. Tinubu signs student loan bill into law. You also get the details of that in the Vanguard newspaper. The Christian Association of Nigeria can to Nigerians learn from 1993 election to build true democracy. Page 9 captures that story. Still on subsidy, we have NUT and parent fault reduction in school days. Page 8 captures the story. Away from that, on petrol, marketers struggle to raise capital for new supplies. You get the details of that on page 19 in the Vanguard. Also on June 12, Abiola was forerunner to entrench democracy tenet in Nigeria. Kingibe captured, revealing that through a statement, and page 9 captures that story. Also, this is resurfacing in the front page of the Vanguard on anthrax. Stop eating momo and bushmeat. Federal government tells Nigerians. Page 8 captures that story. June 12, INEC and APC dishonored Abiola's memory, says PDP. Page 9 captures that. No witch hunt in cancelling employment of 12,000 civil servants. Governor Aliyah revealed that on page 13 in the Vanguard. And the sport headline on the front page right here says Guardiola set Man City exit date after winning historic treble. Page 46 captured that Vanguard story, sport headline rather. And quickly going through the Vanguard newspaper, we get to see Nigerians groaning on subsidy. NBA tells Tinubu. The Nigerian Bar Association section on public interest and development law, NBA SPIDO, has called on President Bola Tinubu to immediately put measures in place to mitigate the suffering of Nigerians following the removal of subsidy on fuel. Speaking at a briefing in Lagos yesterday, the chairman of the section, Dr. Monday Obani, faulted the process of removing subsidy on fuel by the president, adding the Nigerians were groaning in pain and hardship. The rest of that from the Vanguard. On subsidy, Nigerians groaning, NBA tells Tinubu. Away from that, we also have from the Vanguard, learn from 1993 election, build true democracy, CAN urges Nigerians. The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has urged Nigerians to embrace the lessons of the annulled 1993 presidential election of Chief Moshood Abiola and work towards building a truly democratic nation. CAN President Archbishop Daniel Oko, who made the call in a statement yesterday, emphasized the need to address issues such as insecurity, corruption, poverty, and unemployment. He called on all citizens to work together towards the common goal for a better Nigeria. Learn from 1993 election, build true democracy, CAN urges Nigeria, from the Vanguard newspaper. And also from the Vanguard, we have democracy remains the best option despite imperfection. This statement credited to NLC. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has said despite its imperfections, democracy remained the best option for electing leaders in the country. The NLC, in a statement by the acting president, Comrade Adewale Adeyanju, said, although the practice of democracy in the country might have fallen beyond expectations, Nigerians still beyond freedom of speech and association, as well as the right to elect their leaders. And while joining the government and people of Nigeria in commemorating Democracy Day, Adeyanju said, and I quote, "For us, our Democracy Day represents a statement of intent, revocable decision, and irretraceable step in our march to freedom from military rule and dictatorship." End of quote. Democracy remains best option despite imperfections. NLC revealing that from the Vanguard newspaper. And quickly taking the sports story from the Vanguard newspaper. I want to renew contract, Mbappe tells PSG after Messi exit. Paris Saint-Germain forward Kylian Mbappe has informed the club it will not sign a contract extension. Mbappe is currently on a deal with the Ligue 1 champions until 2024, but it contains the option of extension for at least one more year. And however, according to transfer expert Romano, the 24-year-old is not interested in staying at the club until 2025, and this could lead to PSG trying to offload the player, with Real Madrid retaining a long-term interest. I won't renew contract, Mbappe tells PSG after Messi exit. The Vanguard newspaper captured that very sports story. And that will be all on Freshlight this morning on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Subscribe, comment, like, and of course on our YouTube channel at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Thank you so much this morning for joining Freshlight. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye. Do have a beautiful day. Good morning.